Daycare workers have voted in favor of an unlimited general strike. It began yesterday, and despite this being a headache for parents, they seem to be an ally this time around for daycare workers. Let's speak to someone who's with a daycare center. Yasmine Ghandour is on the line, General Director of Orchard House in NDG and Pointe. Yasmine, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So first things first, let's talk about just how united you and other daycare workers are as you enter this strike.
Well, honestly, this is very much an industry topic, that's for sure. But the strikes that you're reading about are very specific to the public sector at the moment. So it is about CPEs, and those are the ones that are striking today. Having said that, I think that everybody who's in the field agrees that it's a field that's been very much undervalued, with the staff who work in it who have been traditionally underpaid since the beginning of time. And it's a kind of vocational work that's been taken advantage of. So we're all very happy that this story has been coming, that this conversation is happening, that the media is listening to it, that parents are even behind the topic.
And when it comes down to strikes, so often public opinion really, really matters. I think we can see from the government they're trying to play a public relations campaign. They're even using social media. The premier tweeting about it, highlighting the increase in wages and salary that's being offered. Can we just talk about because you mentioned underpaid forever, right? And that's true. This is a profession has been underpaid forever. Government says, hey, we are throwing dollars at you. We're throwing a big pay increase at you. What do you say to that? Is that pay increase that they keep talking about smoke and mirrors, or is there something there?
Well, no, it looks like they are beginning to increase the pay of the actual teachers, the educators. They've increased. They're adding a couple of echelons to the salary scale in the CPEs and the public sector, which is going to mean that the private sector is going to have to follow through. And the government is encouraging the private sector to pass that pay the price tag onto the families, and that they would support them accordingly with tax credit improvements in due course. Let's see if that actually happens. I'm not so sure. But the idea now is that besides that, the unions are not too happy that some of their other members, the support staff in these daycare settings, who have also been underpaid compared to their colleagues in the public sector, but not in early childhood centers. So it really is, as I said, an industry issue where the industry has always been overlooked and taken for granted, because unfortunately it's an area that is predominantly staffed by women, and women who really work from the heart. I mean, it's a known fact. This is people who love the work that they do. And finally, there's a conversation that's being had.
The majority of parents, if we look at some recent polling, support the workers in these early childhood centers. What's your feeling? What do you feel about the support you're getting from parents? Is that do the numbers back it up? Do the poll numbers? Are you seeing what the poll numbers are showing?
Honestly, I read that article yesterday, and I'd be interested to see if these were parents who are actually being affected by the strike, and with the fact that it imminently could be an unlimited strike. Because what I feel for, even though I'm 100% behind the reason behind the strike, what I worry about is that, it's the parents and the children are being used as pawns in this negotiation process. And let's not forget that these are young children who have dealt with closure, right, since March of 2020, not only with school closure, but classroom closures. Whenever there's a case in a center, that the class closes for 2 weeks. Whenever a child shows a symptom, they have to stay home for a couple of days at a time. So there's been ongoing absences, which I think must be very difficult for young children who really deserve to be in a structured setting on a regular basis. And it affects their parents as well, who need to be working.
With Yasmine Ghandour, General Director of Orchard House in NDG in Pointe Claire, and we're talking about striking daycare workers in early childhood centers. So, Yasmine, we talked about salary here, but we all know this goes far beyond just the wages, working conditions, and quality of life, work-life balance, all that kind of stuff. What are the things to you, top of mind, main sticking points where you don't see movement from the government?
I think a big one is the quality of the working conditions in early childhood centers. One of their sticking points when they had started off with their negotiations in CPEs is that they don't have enough funding for children with special needs. Quebec has one of the poorest ratios in terms of adult to child ratios. I mean, can you imagine? With babies, they expect one adult to look after 5 babies. I don't know if you've had to ever.
No, thank goodness I haven't. I have no idea.
Too. I don't know. So to expect a quality service with such high ratios, it's one thing looking after children, making sure that they're safe and that they're cared for, they're animated, but then to actually make sure that they're having a learning experience, one where the child is being productive and engaged and actually learning and growing from that experience with his educator, is a completely different situation. So you have to, the teachers have to feel supported when it comes to numbers in the classroom, when it comes to support with children who are, a little bit more, who request a little bit more attention than your average child. I think those are really the priorities.
Can I ask you, Yasmine? Let's say negotiations continue to stall. What step are we at right now, and then where do we go from here when it comes to this strike, and how difficult can it be end up being for parents that rely on the network?
Well, I really do worry about them, the ones who have their children in CPEs. I was just reading an article earlier where one of the directors was telling the parents to pick up all of the children's items and their change of clothes, from their cubbies, because they don't know how long they're going to be closed for. So, goodness, I mean, this is, as I said, they've been dealing with this since March of 2020, and now they're having to experience all of this again. But I'm not, please don't get me wrong. Once again, the reason behind the strike is critical in changing our perspective on a profession that's for way too long been undervalued.
Do you think the government is negotiating in faith?
I think they are. I think that they've started. They're starting to take to notice because the children and parents are being affected. So these increases in salaries for the educator is a starting point. They're also really trying hard to address the fact that there's been shortages. I mean, it's a little bit of a vicious circle, isn't it? Because because it's underpaid, you're dealing with serious shortages of qualified staff as well. So they're dealing with that as well behind the scenes and trying to promote and encourage qualifications and student, kind of back to work programs.
Yasmine, you know your stuff. Thank you so much for coming on the show and shedding some light on what's going on. I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Always nice to chat.
Yasmine Ghandour, General Director of Orchard House in NDG and Pointe Claire.